Alrighty, so these are the formulas that need to be memorized for your FSA. Volume equals pi r squared h for a cylinder. Let's go ahead and draw a cylinder. Let me show you how to draw one here. Okay? You draw an oval.
Are you drawing the?
Let me show you how to draw a cylinder. Yeah, yeah. Just work on it. Okay, it's a good thing.
Your finger? Oh.
So, 2 sticks down from the ends.
You drawing a cone, right? Almost.
2 sticks down from the ends. So it kind of looks like a cloud being held up with 2 sticks.
A cloud.
And then you draw a loop around the bottom like that. That's your cylinder. And if you want to do dotted around the outside there, you can.
It's a weird looking cylinder.
It's a can. And I can do it.
I can't do it.
Cone. Cone, you make an upside down V. Upside down V. And then you do a loop around the bottom. And again, do a dotted line to make up an oval on the other side. There's your cone. Sphere you can't draw in 2 dimensions. It's about impossible. It looks like a circle, so we're not going to mess with the sphere.
I'm gonna make a circle.
Yeah, you gotta do value.
You can't make a sphere. So, but you know what these look like. So this is your cylinder. Okay, different shapes of cylinders here.
Do you ever took
Okay.
art class?
A cone. Here's your cone. Yes, put the ice cream in, please. Goes on that side. That's your cone. And then your sphere, which if you try to draw that on paper, it's just going to look like a circle. But it's not a circle. It's 3-dimensional.
What?
Okay.
Have you ever
And
took
just
art class?
took art class.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've taken art class
They teach
before.
you how to draw spheres.
Do they? Nice.
Yeah, you can shade like
Yeah, it's
the
called-
shadow.
Well, I guess there's nothing's a sphere then.
Huh?
Nothing.
Oh my
I
god.
gotcha.
Oh my god.
So, we're moving on.
I'm lost.
Part 1. I tried. Finding volume, part 1. This is the easy part. All you're going to do is order of operations. If they just say find volume, give a sigh of relief, because all you got to do is multiply, sometimes divide. There's also squaring and cubing. So let's pick on cone. We're going to give you the radius. I don't know, pick a number 8, sure. And we see you need the height too, right? The height of the cone, by the way, is measured from the center of the cone at the bottom directly straight up to the top. Okay, it's not on the slant here. So if this was a mountain, you were talking about how tall the mountain was, you would measure how tall it was from the top of the mountain directly down to the ground. So that's exactly what we mean by height. Okay? By the way, these objects can also be what they call oblique. Let's draw an oblique cylinder. You may not want to do this. That's up to you. Basically, it got kind of twisted. Doesn't matter. The height is still how far it is from the top to the ground. So this is always your height. You can make an oblique cone too. Just make the circle cut off to the side here. Maybe I can make this one look a little bit better than the last one. That's called oblique. O-B-L-I-Q-U-E. Sorry, that's not good writing. O-B-L-I-Q-U-E. Oblique. It's kind of been leaned over. Somebody pushed the top over a little bit. But the way they're done is the exact same way. Okay? So anyway, back to the cone. So the radius is 8 and the height is, I don't know, let's go with 10. So all you do is put the numbers in and do the math. So cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. So I put 1/3 pi, r is 8 squared times h, which is 10. So take your formula, put in the numbers. Pi is a number, right? So you don't have to worry about that. It's going to be, in your FSA, they actually say use 3.14, so I really don't care what you use. Whether you want to use the pi button, which is quicker, or 3.14, that's up to you. So how are we going to do this? It's going to look like this. So we do exponents first, right? So I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to put on your calculator here. You're going to go 8 times 8, because it's squared, right? Does it matter which one I multiply next? If it's all multiply, it doesn't really matter what you do next. But I'm going to do the 1/3 last. So then I'm going to go times pi. That's the pi button. Times 10. Now, what do I do with the 1/3? It's times 1/3. Since it's 1/3 times, I flip it over and multiply, right? Keep, change, flip. It's really divided by 3. So literally, I go in here and go, all right, 8
600
times 8 times pi, I'll hit the pi button, times 10 divided by 3. About 670.2. And that's going to be units cubed. How many cubes fit inside of there? We don't have the exact inches, centimeters, miles, or whatever it is. So whatever that's going to be, it's going to be in cubic units. That's for a cone. For a sphere, all we need is radius. Let's pick the number 5. Careful with radius, by the way. They might show you diameter. What do you do if they show you diameter? You just cut it in half, right? So diameter is 10, so make sure you're using the radius. Okay, formula, 4/3. Pi r cubed. And the radius is 5. So we do exponents first, order of operations, exponents first. So I do 5 times 5 times 5, 3 of them, times pi. Now, what do I do with the 4/3? Well, it's going to be times 4, the number on top, divided by 3. So you're going 5 times 5 times 5 times pi times 4 divided by 3. About 523. If you round to the nearest tenth, 523.6. And that's in whatever units it is, cubed as well. That's the easy part, okay? Make sure you do your exponents first, right? And save the fraction for last. And the fraction's easy enough. You can take a times 1 divided by 3, times 4 divided by 3. That's all you're doing. And you don't have to worry about the fraction. So don't let the fraction freak you out. It just means times the top divided by the bottom. Okay? All right, ready for the hard part? Part 2, finding other. Now it gets a little tricky. We don't do order of operations. We do order of operations, but we do everything backwards. Just like equations, right? When you did equations before, remember 2x plus 5 equal 8? Then you do it backwards to find x. You subtracted 5 and divided by 2. That's exactly what we're going to do. Nice thing is there's no adding and subtracting. Everything is multiplying and dividing. So the only things you have to do are either multiply or divide. Of course, there's one more thing left. There is square root or cubed root. That's the hardest part, actually. We'll get to that last. So we'll do a cone or sphere. Take a pick. Let's do, good choice, cone. Make it sound like you guys actually chose something. So we're going to give you the volume of, let's go 500. That's cubic units. Let's go ahead and put units in here. Let's go with cubic centimeters. Let's see what else. Cone then it has volume, radius, and height. So I'm going to give you the radius this time. The radius is 6 centimeters. Which means then the only thing left is to find the height. How tall is the cone? What do I mean about manipulating numbers here? So cone again. This volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. Put in the parts you know. I know the 500, so I put that here. 1/3 pi r is 6 times 6 squared h. Put in the things you know. Okay. Here we ended with volume up here. Part 1 we ended with volume. This time we start with volume. We're doing everything backwards, right? So you're going to start with the answer. Okay? The answer is 500. So I'm going to start with 500, and I'm going to do everything backwards here, which means the exponent's last. Okay? So I'm going to do pi. This is times pi, right? So guess what I'm going to do? You're dividing by pi. This was up here what we did. We divided by 3 up here, remember? So guess what I'm going to do? Times 3. That gets rid of the fraction. And then I have 6 squared. So 6 times 6, I'm going to divide by 6. Divide by 6 instead of times 6 times 6. And that's going to be my answer for height. So I go with 500 divided by pi times 3 divided by 6 divided by 6. 510? I don't think that worked right. This calculator's doing some weird things. 500 divided by pi times 3 divided by 6 divided by 6. 13.3 roughly. And that is in centimeters. That's how tall my cone is, about 13 centimeters tall. Okay? So it's doing things backwards. Last one, last example. It's the hardest one. Volume of, we'll do a cone again, call you volume of, I don't know. We'll go 800 cubic inches. This time I'm going to give you the height. 12 inches tall. Find the radius.
You want us to do it?
I'm going to do it with you. Well, I got plenty for you to do. So my formula is the same. I'm going to put in the pieces I have. So I got 800 equals 1/3 pi r squared. I don't know r, but I do know the height, times 12. It's a cone. Doing a cone again. Okay? What makes this different is now I'm looking for radius. Radius is the hardest thing to find. Okay, I'm still doing everything backwards. The last thing I'm doing is exponents, because order of operations, that's the first thing you do, right? So I'll save the exponent till the end. Once again, I start with what I ended with before, 800. Okay, divided by pi, because it was times pi, times 12, right? Divided by 12. It was divided by 3, so times 3. Now I undid the pi, I undid the 12, I undid the 1/3. Now how do I undo the squared? What's the opposite squared? Grace? Square root, nice. The last thing I will do is square root my answer, because I'm undoing radius squared. So here we go, 800 divided by pi, divided by 12, times 3. I ended up with about 63.66, and then I hit square root. 7.97, so that's either 9 or goes up to a 0. It will go up to a 0, rounded to the nearest tenth, it would be 8.0, so about 8 inches radius. Diameter of 16 inches. That's it. Not exciting?
No.
Nope.